Mike Richardson.
You are all too kind. It's so fantastic to hear some international accents that be up on stage from the Commonwealth and other places. My ears are kind of mangled mid-Atlantic American English accent. Been here 25 years. I'm English. My wife is Scottish. Don't get me into that. What a great energy. What a great buzz. What a great level of leadership and teamwork and community that we've experienced over the last couple of days. What if there's something else in the room here with us? What if there's something over and above those parts? What if the whole has an intelligence all of its own? That is what's called a collective intelligence. We see it in nature all the time. A flock of birds, a shoal of fish, an ant colony, where the whole seems to have its own intelligence over and above the individual actors, the individual players. There is no master plan. There is no leader. And yet amazing things happen. That concept was first popularized in the 2004 book by James Soricki called Wisdom of Crowds. Anybody read that book? In that book, he tells a fantastic story about Francis Galton in 1906 at a country fair back in the UK. And he drags an ox to this country fair. And he lets people buy a ticket to submit their guess for what will be the weight of the ox when it's butchered. And there are people coming through who are experts in this. They're farmers and they're butchers. And there's just people like you and me, members of the public. And they pass through and they all have their votes. It was like 800 votes and nobody gets the rouse. But when he looks at the whole and he averages the numbers, the crown was accurate to 1 peg. They got the right answer, plus or minus 1 peg. And that mesmerized him. That the crowd was able to come up with a better answer than the individual experts. That was the beginnings of collective intelligence. Now, I'm lucky enough that I get to touch that on a frequent basis by running peer groups of CEOs and executives. No competitors in the room, totally confidential, business, professional, personal life, hanging all at the door, the ego, the armor, the thick skin, come on in, warts and all. Let's put it all on the table. One of my members is right back here, Scott Thornton, from my group up in Temecula, Berryetta, where I live. I've operated in the greater San Diego area for 25 years now, and then I moved up there to fulfill a dream of having a wine country home, which I love. I've been sat next to John Bailey today, who does similar work of peer groups and peer forums. I love the work. It's become the passion of my life. You know that idea of passionate purpose that we've heard so much about today? I heard a couple of years ago someone say, yeah, the way I think about that is I ask my question, what is the work that I can't not do? And that's what this became for me. I'm in the lives of so many members and their families, and they're in my life. I need a new microphone, but I have a booming voice, so I could see you on a new microphone makes us ready to me. And 100 years or more after that 1906 experiment, in the year 2009, DARPA, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, not that you really wanted to know that, But anyway, Garber ran a modern-day experiment that was somewhat similar. Around the continental United States, they located 10 red weather balloons. Not at 30,000 feet where you could see them from miles and miles and miles away, because we'd be disrupting aviation, right? They'd like hang on from the railing here on 10-foot rope, just a big weather balloon sort of blowing around in the wind. 10 of them around the continental United States. They launched a challenge with a $40,000 prize for who could find and verify the GPS location and take photographs of only 10 weather balloons around the continental United States. Everybody thought it would be easy. We just put it out on Twitter or X and we wait for the results to come in. We're going to win this thing. Thousands of teams entered this competition and they all failed. They thought it would take days, weeks, possibly months for these 9 balloons to be found. A team from MIT found all 10 balloons in 9 hours. 9 hours. It blew their minds that MIT could mobilize a collective intelligence so effectively, so quickly. There are a lot of nuances as to how they designed that. But one of the ways in which they did it is they had what's called a recursive incentive system. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, I've heard of that before. It's called multi-level marketing, pyramid selling. No, it's a lot more nuanced and complicated than that. And amongst many other design factors, it became the central concept, the central engine with which they were able to find these 10 weather balloons so quickly. I've been sitting here for the last 2 days thinking about how this challenge and auction process is very similar to a recursive incentive system. So I think you're really cracking the code to something really important there. It wasn't a surprise that MIT won the competition, because 3 years earlier, they had set up the MIT Center for Collective Intelligence. They'd been studying this wisdom of crowds effect, and they understood how to design for it. So it wasn't a surprise that they won this competition. And the whole Center for Collective Intelligence, MIT, is run by a gentleman called Thomas Malone. And in 2018, he published a great book called Superminds: The Surprising Power of People and Computers Working Together. Yes, we're in an era of AI that is going to blow the lid off everything. But collective intelligence equals artificial intelligence plus human intelligence. And as artificial intelligence rises up, human intelligence is going to have to rise up alongside it to keep up. And that's what he speaks about in his book, Superminds: The Surprising Power of Humans and Computers Working Together. I've been sitting here for the last 2 days thinking to myself, well, look, if the wisdom of crowds and a supermind can guess the weight of an ox, plus or minus 1 pound, if the wisdom of crowds and a supermind can find 10 red weather balloons in 9 hours, then it sure as heck can raise its game to $1 billion challenge. It's time to get to work. Let's go.